All right. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to our meeting. I'm Ruth De La Cruz, one of the directors from the Wednesday meeting.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dixon. I'm also a Wednesday meeting director.
So we're going to give one announcement, which is we have Becker Telly next Monday. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Feel free to take it away, Amy.
Oh, yeah.
Becker CPA.
All righty. Thanks so much, guys. Hello, my CSUN peeps. I'm back. So my name's Amy. I'm with Becker CPA. So we do the CPA review course, CMA, and on top of that, we do CPE to keep your licenses active. So today I'm here to take you on the path of getting your CPA license. You know, if you ever have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or type into the chat as we go along. And if you have any further questions, you guys always reach out to me, anytime. We could set up a meeting to go over any questions that you have or go over like the requirements. I do have, several announcements. One of them is pretty exciting, especially for those of you guys who are seniors and graduating. But first off, let me go ahead and share my screen right here. All righty. So give me a thumbs up if you guys can see my screen. Everything's good. Perfect. Sounds good. So we are actually giving a giveaway. So we have a sweepstakes to win a Keurig or a Becker mug or even a CPA review course. But hopefully you guys all end up with a firm that pays for a Becker CPA review course. So that way everything is paid for you guys. Let me go ahead and throw it into the chat. So this is the link. And then before I forget, I will give you my contact information. So everything is in there. So you guys ever need to reach out to me. But so to start off, so I'll talk about the path to the CPA review course. If you guys want to follow along on like a new tab or on your phone, you guys can actually type in glsr.live/Becker CPA CMA. You guys can always download the slides as well too. And at the end, I have linked several resources linked in there as well too. So it's great to keep in mind for that. So it's like links you to the California Board of Accountancy and other several links as well too. So go ahead and start off. For those of you guys who want to become CPA, so hopefully all of you guys, we've actually broken down to 5 different steps. So it's making it easier for you guys. So step 1 is to meet the educational requirement. In the state of California, there's 2 different educational requirements. One is for you to sit for the CPA exam, and the other is for you to get licensed. In order for you to sit for the CPA exam, you do need a bachelor's degree and a total of 120 units. Within that 120 units, 24 of that has been in accounting studies, 24 in business-related subjects. So that's all you need in order to sit for the CPA exam. But in order to get licensed, there's a little bit more on top of that. So you need a total of 150 units. So the extra 30 comes from extra accounting studies and ethics, which I will show you in the next slide. Some exciting news is that, so for those of you guys who are graduating soon or seniors, there was actually a bill that was just signed 2 weeks ago, actually. So starting January 1st of 2022, for those of you guys who are 6 months out from graduating or getting your bachelor's degree and hitting the requirements to sit, you guys can actually sign up and send in your application and start taking the exam first as well too. So you guys have an extra 6 months to start that process. So this is actually really great news, because for those of you guys who are going to be starting with the firms, I know that a lot of you guys either start like right after the summer or November or even December or January timeline. So this actually provides you guys more opportunities for you to get your application process in first, and then being able to sit and take some of the exam beforehand as well too, because most of you guys have probably heard a lot of people saying that you want to get your exams in as many as possible, or even to pass all 4 parts before you start working at the firm, just because it's tough for you to work full time and then going back home and then not being able to relax and having to start studying again, or even spending your weekends to study. So if you guys can get the exam out of the way before you start working full-time, that's actually one of the best things ever. So that way you guys can, spend the time after work or your weekends, hang out with friends, family, relaxing. So hopefully you guys are able to do so. If you guys have any questions about that or the study path, definitely let me know. So moving on to step 2, when you submit your application, make sure you make your payments, send the check, and then on top of that, you have all the school send in your transcript. So you guys are graduating from CSUN, but you guys are transfer students or have taken classes outside of CSUN, make sure that those universities or those colleges send in the transcript as well too. On top of that, when you guys have the school send in the transcript, make sure that the school sends it directly to the California Board of Accountancy. Don't have them send it to you and you send it over, because in case you have opened it or whatnot, they won't accept it. So to minimize those risks of them not accepting it, make sure that the school sends it directly to the Board of Accountancy. Between that time frame of you sending your application to you receiving approval, saying that you have everything, you guys can now take the exam. That process takes about 4 to 8 weeks in California. I've seen some students who miraculously got it within like a week or two, which is very unheard of. But she said that her friends have gotten it like 6 weeks later. So it depends, right? So between that time frame, you don't want to be wasting any time. Choose your exam review course provider. Hopefully it's Becker here. Creating your study plan. So start creating your study plan and start studying for the very first section. And when you're studying for the very first section, by the time you receive your notice schedule, you can schedule your exam and take your exam. You should be, ready for the very first section. So once you receive your notice of schedule and your authorization to test, you set it up. You can start scheduling your exam with Prometric. So Prometric is a testing center for you guys to take the exam. So they just facilitate the testing. So it's not that it's all for CPAs. There's students taking CMA, project management, all these other exams out there. So even though there's hundreds of them in the US and a lot of them in California, make sure that you do schedule it ahead of time, because they do book up quick, and you definitely don't want to schedule it right when I'm ready today, I'm ready to take it tomorrow or next week. It might be booked up, and it might be booked up for like a week, a month or 2 months out. So you want to schedule it ahead of time, stick that into your study plan, and then work towards that date. All right. And you can always reschedule, but then if you do reschedule, make sure that you reschedule it ahead of time, because if you reschedule it about at least 30 days in advance before your exam, I believe it's free. And then anytime when it gets closer and closer to your exam date, it just charges more and more. So make sure of that you stick to that plan. So moving on to step 5, you take all 4 parts of the exam, pass all 4 parts, and there is an ethics exam. So the ethics exam, you don't have to go to a Prometric center to do it. You can do it at your own home, library, wherever it is on your computer, and then obtaining working experience. In the state of California, your working experience, you need a 1 year of working experience. So that comes out to be about 2,080 hours. And that can come from a part-time internship, full-time, as long as you're working under a licensed CPA and it's signed off by a licensed CPA, saying that, you did the work. So for those of you guys who are doing part-time at the firms or a company, under a licensed CPA, or doing an internship, you could actually have those hours signed off. So basically you're working towards your working experience already. So working experience could be before, during, or after your exam. So as long as you have it before you apply for licensure. So when you apply for licensure, just make sure you have all the 3 E's: education, exam, and experience. Any questions before I move on to diving into the educational requirements? Skip. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so let's say I pass all the exams over summer and I'm starting to work in the fall. Mm-hmm. Would I still have to wait a year until next fall to apply for my licensure?
You don't. So as soon as you hit that, working experience, your 1 year working experience, you gathered all of it, you finish the exam, you finish the ethics exam, and you have all the 150 units, you could actually apply for licensure. You don't have to wait another year for it or anything like that. So as soon as you hit all of them. And on top of that, I know that I mentioned in order to sit for the CPA exam, you just need the 120. And then in order to get licensed, you need the 150. But I'm sure most of you guys have networked with the firms and have gotten the question, will you be CPA eligible by the time you guys graduate, right? You have gotten that question. That just means that will you have the total 150 units by the time you graduate, because they don't want you to work full time with them, study for your CPA exam. And on top of that, taking classes to fulfill all those units, because there's not enough time in a day or energy or effort to do all of those at the same time, right? So you might as well try to get the 150 units over with first, and then work, try to get the test out of the way, and then just focus on your full-time job. Right here is the educational requirement. I know it's kind of small to see, but I have opened it on the next slide. So if you do want to know where this comes from, I'm sure most of you guys have seen it before, but if not, you guys can actually grab it from the California Board of Accountancy website. All you have to do is go to dca.ca.gov/CPA, or I'm lazy. I just Google CPA, CBA, and it should be the first link that links you over to the California Board of Accountancy. When you click on the applicants part and then the educational requirements, it'll take you to here. So you just click on the tip sheet. Another thing I want to show you is if you go to applicants part and you go to the Uniform CPA Exam Handbook, this is where all the information is in. It's actually really great information. This is where I go to find out, specific information. It has all the information of like who to contact for specific questions, email, phone number. And then it kind of runs you down step by step of what you need to do throughout the whole process. So the further you go down the PDF file, that means kind of like the further down in the step of the process you are in. So it shows you the educational requirements, and then moving on to like where to send your educational requirements, right? It has to be sent directly to the California Board of Accountancy, and this is where the school sends it to. And then it takes you through the applicant's process, and then how much the fees are and where to send the checks, and then so forth. And then each exam fees as well too. So each exam is about $226.15, which we'll dive in a little bit further in the next few slides. So with the tip sheet, so in order to sit for the CPA exam, you just need this top two sections. So accounting and business related subjects. And you should, if you guys are accounting majors or accounting concentrates, you guys should be able to hit all of this. If not, then a little bit more by the time you guys graduate. So this bottom two section is basically, this is where you would meet to hit the 150 units. So before this 24, 24, 20, and 10, as long as you hit all of these requirements, the rest of the 150 units can be whatever you guys want, art, PE, whatever it is. But just make sure that, if you guys are trying to hit certain classes, try to take more classes that would help you out in the future, like say taking the CPA exam. I know that like say government and not-for-profit is not part of a requirement for you to graduate, but if you guys do have like some classes that you guys need to take, I would highly suggest you guys to take that, just because when you guys are taking the CPA exam, it is in the CPA exam. So you want to take that so you have that foundation of helping you pass it easier and learning it easier. I mean, although when you're studying with the Becker CPA review course, we'll teach you everything you need to know in order to pass CPA exam. But you also don't want it to be the very first time to learn it, right? You want to build that foundation, and then we'll help you guide you towards like the questions they ask and how to find out, how to work through those problems and pass it. So moving back to this, so 24, 24 right here, and then with this 20, this bottom two section is a little bit more complicated than the first, just because it's a little bit more specific. So with this part, you have to have a minimum 6 semester units in accounting subjects. So say you're taking audit, this is different from this top, right? So say you're taking auditing 1 class, and you have, if it fills up to here, and unfortunately you can't double dip, you can't count it again right here. So it has to be extra in accounting subjects. And in this bottom section, you could only have a maximum 14 semester units extra in business related subjects right here. And then this is maximum 9 semester units in academic work relevant to business and accounting, but maximum 3 units in any one area right here: skill-based courses, foreign languages, cultural and cultural ethnic studies. and industry-based courses. So I would like to think of this like kind of like a freebie, because most likely in your prereq class, you guys are taking English, communications, or some sort of science classes, right? So in that case, it's kind of like a freebie of 3 units that you could fill in here. Foreign languages, you maybe have taken that, or cultural or ethnic classes. So you could have maximum 3 units here. If you guys decide to take, like, say, Masters of Accounting or Taxation or Laws in Taxation, you might want, you don't have to worry too much about this because you'll be taking more accounting courses. So, you can't go wrong with accounting courses because it fulfills up here, down here, and then down here, and then some classes down here too. So you guys this would be covered. For this bottom section of the ethics, so you have to have a minimum 3 semester units in accounting ethics or accountant professional responsibilities. So as long as you take these classes, you have just make sure that it has to do with accounting. It has accounting in the title. And then maximum semester units in the bottom section, 3 semester units in philosophy, religion, theology, as long as it has this in the title. If you guys are sitting down to go over your transcript to see if you have all of those units, I would suggest you guys, even though you just need this bottom 2 sections in order to get licensed, but I want you to be able to put in, look at your units of what you've taken, and then fulfill it. Try to fulfill down here first. So if you guys are seeing, try to see if you hit any of these first, and then you move your way up, just because these are a little bit more specific, right? So say if you took auditing, obviously you're not going to put auditing up here when you could put it down here, and work your way back up, because as long as you work your way back up, if you're missing any courses, it's a lot easier to choose general accounting classes or any like business courses, rather than looking down here and be like, which classes are available and which one I can take, right? So you could, like, there's a broader, all the general of the group of courses that you can take, rather than looking at the more specific one. But if you guys ever have any trouble with, or need any help on looking at your transcript and looking at your courses, I can actually sit down with you one-on-one to look at it, to see if I can help you out on that. So on the chat, I actually put my Calendly account on there as well too. So that's linked to my updated calendar. So you guys can find a time and a date that fits your schedule. Just book it, and then we can hop on a call at that time, and we can go over it as well too. All right, so moving back on to this slides. Do you guys have any questions on the educational requirement before I move on? All right. So if you guys decide to move to a different state, or get licensed in a different state, make sure that you check with that state's requirements as well too, because every state is a little bit different. They're very similar, but they're a little bit different, right? Because in California, you need 120 semester units to sit, but you just need the 150 in order to get licensed. But in other states, you need the total 150 to get licensed, and then accounting hours might be a little bit different. Some require ethics exams, some require 1 year working experience or 2 years of working experience, or both, right? So you have to check with that state. But not to worry, if you guys say you guys went through the whole process of applying, you guys took several of the exams, say you passed 2, and then a better opportunity presents itself in a different state, and you want to move to a different state, you guys can always transfer your scores over. You guys don't have to retake it, but just make sure with that state. And then if you guys get licensed, you guys can always transfer your license over, but also just check with that state as well too. So moving on to creating a study plan. So it's really critical that you guys create, really important that you create a study plan and a realistic study plan. So you don't want to create one where it's like, I'm going to get all the testing in or studying in within a month or 2 months, because I'm not saying that it's not doable. It is, but it's going to be pretty rough. So what you want to do is make sure that you create a realistic study plan, plan it out based on how well you study, what's going on in your life. You have a full-time job, you're taking classes, or things going on, family stuff. So you want to create a realistic one. So in the Becker platform, we do have an interactive study planner. So you can actually throw in which sections you want to study first. Whichever order you want to go in is totally up to you. But if you ask us, in general, which order I should go in, we would recommend FARB. So financial, audit, regulation, and BEC, because each one kind of follows in each other. And I'll kind of tell you why in the next couple of slides as well too. Why we choose FAR first as well. So within the study planner, you choose which section you want to study first. You choose when you want to start studying, when you plan to take the exam, and how many hours a week you plan on studying, and it'll generate a study planner for you. But in life, things comes up. If you do miss a section in that week, you could always drag it to the next week, and it would shift it for you. And, you could always drag it yourself too, depending on how much time you want to spend on each week as well too. So it's pretty interactive for you. So in the testing windows, I'm sure most of you guys have heard of, blackout dates and not being able to sit for the same part in each quarter window, but all of that is canceled out right now. So there's no more blackout days, no more different quarter windows. So that's a great thing, because you're provided more opportunities for you to sit and get those testing out of the way. So you can sit for all 12 months out of the year. So testing in 365 days in the year, as long as the Prometric Center is open. You can take as many, part of the exam in like each month or each window. So say before, if you had taken the exam in January, but you didn't pass, you have to wait until like at least April to sit and take it again. But right now, unfortunately, hopefully you guys all pass within the very first try. But just in case, if you guys didn't, you guys can actually, once you guys find out, you guys can actually schedule your exam again in like the next month or, in the future. So you guys don't have to wait several months for that. So more opportunities for you guys to sit. All right, so a little bit about the exam overview. There's 4 sections: financial, audit, regulation, and BEC. So within those 4 sections, each section, the testing is 4 hours long. So totaling of my math's incorrect, 16 hours. So the way you want to study is you want to study, take the exam, study, take the exam, and then so forth, right? You don't want to study for all 4 parts and then sit for all 4 parts consecutively, because that's going to be a lot of testing. You're going to be sitting there for like 16 hours of testing, and you want to study part by part, because, I don't want you to get overwhelmed with it. All those like, kind of like cram all those information in and spit it back out in the testing. So you want to do it section by section. You do need a passing score of 75 in order to pass. So the maximum you could get is a 99. The exam can be taken in any state or jurisdiction. So that just means that, if you guys are sitting to, you have applied, you guys are sitting for California. If you guys take a vacation in, a different state, you could actually sit at the Prometric Center in a different state and take it. So there's no excuses on not taking the exam, right? While you guys are on vacation or spending time in a different state. And on top of that, I've heard that a lot of students have asked, which state would be easier for the exam. The exam is the same exact exam in any state or jurisdiction. It's not that one state is, easier than the other. You have 18 months to pass all 4 parts. So that 18-month time frame starts when you take and pass that very first part. So say if you decide to take the exam, you sit for the exam in January 5th, right? But you always don't find out that you guys passed it until January 20th. That 18-month period starts when you sat and took the exam on January 5th. So you guys, so make sure you keep that in mind. And do you guys know what happens when you guys don't pass all 4 parts within 18 months? You guys have to retake the whole thing over. Luckily for you guys don't have to retake all the exams over. You just have to retake the very first one that drops off. So basically, after you pass it, every exam has an 18-month expiration date, and you have to have them all valid at the same time, not that one of them is expired. So say, for example, you took financial, you passed it, you took audit, you passed it, regulation passed, and then by the time you pass BEC, business, that comes around to 19-20 months. So that means that the financial one has expired, and you just have to retake that one and pass it again. But don't wait too long, because if this one audit expires, then you have to retake it, and don't fall into that path of, of having to retake one after the other. So, make sure that you pass every single part within 18 months. If you guys can, try to aim it for 12 months. And, if things comes up, at least you have that 6 months grace period within the 18 months to pass it. Moving on to each section of the exam, there is 5 different testlets. So each testlet is like its own little exam. So 2 of them are multiple choice question, 3 of them are task-based simulations. As you can see right here, testlet number 5, task-based simulation, where it says WC, BEC. That just means that BEC, business, has a written communication task. So for its last testlet, they're providing you 3 full-length, written communication tasks where you have to write an email or a note to a fellow colleague, to your client. They're grading you on your writing style, whether you can write a professional note or email, good grammar, all of that. So it should be a free 10 to 15% of your grade for you guys, right? I'm sure you guys are more than capable of doing that. So no problem here. And as you can see on this bottom part, it says off the clock break of 15 minutes between testlet number 3 and 4. That just means that you have 15-minute break, that the clock stops. You guys can grab water, use the restroom, grab a snack, whatever you guys need, take a break. It doesn't mean that between testlet number 2 and 3, you guys need to take a break or use the restroom, whatnot. You guys can't use it. You guys can, but it's just that the 4-hour time frame is still ticking. So you definitely want to save all that time for all the questions, right? So if you guys can, just wait until the 15-minute break. Any questions before I dive into the sections? Everyone's good? Hopefully I'm not overwhelming you guys with all the informations. Just want to give you the real deal and not scaring you guys away. So financial. So this is basically your beginner, intermediate, advanced accounting classes, all those classes, all those material put into one exam. So we recommend you guys studying for or taking financial first, or a lot of students like to do financial first because this one has the most material. Expected time, study time is a lot more than the rest. Is about 130 to 150 hours expected study time with that foundation. So they want to study for this one before that 18-month clock starts ticking. And on top of that, it all depends on, on your schedule as well too, whichever one you want to start with first, because I've had students where their last class that they took is auditing. So it's still fresh in the memory. They're like, you know what, I'm going to study audit first. I'm going to take that first. So it's totally up to you guys, whichever order you guys want to study first. Or a lot of times they would do BEC first because they want to gain that momentum. That's an easier one for them. Totally up to you guys. With financial, there's 66 multiple choice question and 8 task-based simulations, where you definitely want to, with each exam, you want to make sure that you work on your time management strategy. Even though it's 4 hours long, but you want to make sure that you keep you keep a good time frame on there. So you want to spend about maybe 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes on each multiple choice question, break it down to a total of 90 minutes, and about 15 to 20 minutes on each task-based simulations, and about 150 minutes on the task-based simulation. Oh, actually, I forgot one thing to tell you. With each testlet, it's like its own little exam. You could only move forward in the testlet. Once you hit submit testlet, say you can't move back. So say you're doing test number 1, multiple choice question, say there's 36 questions, you can go back and forth within those 36 questions. But once you hit submit testlet and you go to testlet number 2, unfortunately, if you remember like, oh my gosh, I answered something wrong in testlet number 1, unfortunately, you can't go back. You can only move forward. Okay. So make sure that you answer every single question to the best of your ability before you move on to the next testlet. All right. So with each, for allocating your time for your time management strategy, so this is how you want to break it down for each testlet. So say, for financial, there's 30 multiple choice question for that first testlet and second testlet. You want to break it down to about 40 to 45 minutes on that testlet, and then this is how you want to break it down for each testlet as well too for the task-based simulations, because you won't be able to move back, right? You have to keep hitting submit testlet. So when you're taking the exam at the Prometric Testing Center, they actually provide you like a sheet of paper or a laminated white sheet of paper where you guys can, jot down notes, work on your problems. It's great to write down your time management strategy on there as well too. So write down each testlet and then the time frame as well too. So say you want to spend maximum 45 minutes on testlet number 1. So that just means that within your 4 hours and you've hit that 45-minute time frame. So you have 3 hours and 15 minutes left. So you can write 3:15 testlet number 1. So once the clock hits that you have 3 hours and 15 minutes left, that's your cue to be on testlet number 2, at least on testlet number 2. So you want to keep track of it and then make sure that you are on track of time as well too. All right, so next up is audit. So the expected study time is about 80 to 100 hours with a foundation of auditing and advanced auditing classes, 72 multiple choice questions, so a little bit more, and 8 task-based simulations. I know that the study time, the hours of it sounds kind of scary because there's a lot, but if you break it down to, say for audit, 80 hours, if you break it down to 4 hours each day, right? You're studying 4 hours each day, 5 days a week. That's already 20 hours. And then you study for, 4 weeks, which is a month, that's 80 hours right there. So the study about like a month or 2 months, depending, right? Because you still have the weekends to study. On top of that, you don't want to be stuck on this like 80-hour to 100-hour time frame. If you guys ever need more or less time, then definitely go for it. Don't say like, oh, Amy from Becker said that I only need 80 hours and I'm good after 80 hours. So make sure that you really understand the material, do the mock exams, and when you feel ready, then you guys are pretty much good to go. And definitely leave about 2 weeks before your exam free, so you can review your study materials and prepare for it as well too. And then within audit, there is the contents covered is ethics, professional responsibilities, and general principles. And you'll see this again in the regulation or the tax part. You're assessing risks and developing a planned response, performing further procedures and obtaining evidence, and then forming conclusions and reporting. All right, so moving on to regulation, which is tax. So you see the contents covered again, ethics, professional responsibilities, and federal tax procedures. There's business law and a lot of federal tax. So the expected study time is about 100 to 120 hours in federal tax, of federal tax and business law. So a little bit more multiple choice questions, 72, and 8 task-based simulations. So because of the little bit of the higher of the multiple choice questions, maybe you want to spend like a minute and a half on each multiple choice question. So you want to break it down yourself. Last but not least, for business, BEC, expected study time is about 80 to 100 hours with a foundation of cost and management accounting. In economics and information systems, there's corporate governance, economic concepts analysis, financial management, information technology, and operations management. 62 multiple choice questions, but instead of 8 task-based simulations, you'll have 4 right here, and you have 3 written communication tasks right here. So you want to spend about 20-25 minutes on each written communication task. And in that last testlet, maybe 60 minutes on that last testlet. All right, any questions so far? Everyone's good? Scared? All right, so this is what it looks like when you guys are taking the CPA exam. This is also what it looks like when you guys are doing the Becker mock exams. So our mock exams or simulated exams mimic the CPA exams. Our questions are very similar. Some people even say our questions are harder than the CPA exam, which is great because we're trying to help you prepare for it. You guys can get through our review course with all the harder questions. Then don't make your CPA exam seem simple, right? So we mimic the CPA exam with the whole platform. So that way you guys know how to navigate through it on the day of the exams. There's no surprises. So this is what it looks like. You have the test list at the top, the time remaining at the top. So say, how many, so it hits 3 hours and 15 minutes left, time remain. So you should be hitting submit testlet and moving on to testlet number 2. There's the calculator, Microsoft Excel as a tool for you guys to use. All the questions right here, you can go back and forth on it before you submit the testlet, and you can always bookmark it as well too. So we always suggest you guys to work through the easier questions and then work and the harder questions later. So if you guys come across a question that is hard, you guys don't know how to do it, you guys need more time on it, click on the bookmark section, bookmark it, do the ones you do know first. Don't waste time on those, on the harder ones. And then after you finish with all the ones that, you know, you guys know how to answer first, go back to the bookmark ones and then, you know, try to work through those. And then if you guys really don't know, select your best guess, I guess, you know, just make sure you fill it in and you have all the questions filled in before you hit submit testlet. And then, so moving on to the task-based simulations part. So you definitely want to familiarize yourself with the format and functionality of everything because it's a little bit more complicated than the multiple choice questions. You have the exhibits that you could open and you have to read through all of them before you answer the questions. Make sure you read through all of the questions. And then you have the calculator, this is what it looks like, and then Microsoft Excel for you guys to use as a tool. I know with the Becker platform, we don't have a Microsoft Excel, what do you call it? We don't have the authorization to use it, so we have to create our own. But if you guys are studying with us and doing the mock exam, you guys can open your own Microsoft Excel because and work through it and practice through it. Just because at the CPA exam, they actually have the copyright to use it, so it would be, you know, the exact Microsoft Excel that you've been using, the regular one. And then there's the authoritative literature search functionality right here. So you can click on here to do your research on there to help you answer the question, and make sure you answer every single questions before you move on and submit the testlet. For the calculator, if you like to use a physical one, you can request for a physical one for them to give you to use at the Prometric Center as well too. All right, so a little bit about the exam day. So some study tips. So make sure that you have directions to Prometric Testing Center before you arrive there. You know, some people like to do a test drive to see how, you know, traffic is like, where to park, what it's going to be like. So it minimizes, any surprises. You can also do a test drive at the Prometric Center, because when you're going through the Prometric Testing Center, when you're going through the registration and everything, you have to bring like 2 forms of ID. You had to bring your notice of schedule, a printout of that with your launch code, because that's what you need in order to start your exam. They do, take your fingerprint. They check if you bring anything. You can't really wear any jewelries other than your wedding ring, if you do have one. No Apple Watches or anything like that. No watches. What else? I believe that they check, like, if you have anything like, say, you have to empty out your pockets, you check your sleeves and your ankles and everything like that. So sometimes it's even more, I would say, is a little bit more strict than TSA. So make sure that you plan for that as well too, because anything that you bring that you have to shove in, or like say your, water bottle or that, I would suggest you guys to bring a jacket too, because when you're sitting there for 4 hours, it could get kind of cold as well too. But if you're not wearing it, I believe you could put it in the back of your seat as well too, back of your chair. Plan to arrive at least 30 minutes prior to your appointment. If not, I would say, try to plan a little bit earlier, just because you never know what traffic's going to be like, right? What surprises there are when you're trying to take one of the most important exams of your life, right? So you've been planning for this and studying for this for years, or working towards that, right? If you arrive earlier, you could just hang out in your car. I like to always, just before I do anything, I like to arrive earlier, get into the right mindset, mentality before you take your exam, and then save that 30 minutes to, run through the whole process of your registration process, and dress comfortably as well too. All right, so time management strategy. Practice will improve your speed. So make sure that you practice. Familiarize yourself with the question, what it's asking. And, a lot of times, there's only so many questions they can ask you, right? So you practice on those questions, and it could be that, just the numbers are changed. And then write down your time management plan on your whiteboard or paper before you start your exam. Answer the questions that are easy first, then work through the harder questions. And then some final tips: set aside 1 to 2 weeks to review before your scheduled exam date. I would say 2 weeks. You could spend like every day of the week, reviewing, each unit, right? So then that leaves you several days after, before your exam, to just review what you have studied, and then relax on the very last day, and just get a good night's rest, good breakfast before you go in, and then take the simulated mock exams in a strict exam-like condition, because we have 3 full-length mock exams that mimic the CPA exam. See how well you do. If you get like a 65, 70, 75 on that exam, then you guys are pretty much ready to go. There's a lot of students say that Becker's harder, and when you do the simulated exam, there's actually like a Becker bump, right? So what they call Becker bump, because it bumps your score up. So I have had colleagues or students that scored like a 65% or 65 on their mock exams, and when they went in to take the exam, they got like an 80, 82, right? So it kind of bumps you up. So make sure that you review it and review only what you have studied. So don't go down that rabbit hole of digging through things that you have not studied and trying to learn them like the night before or the week before as well too. Because I think it'll just kind of freak yourself out. So just don't, just review what you have studied. Create a realistic study plan as well too, because we definitely don't want you to create one that's so tight in schedule that you can't follow through and then you kind of fall off and lose motivation. So make sure that you create one so you don't exhaust yourself and burn yourself out as well too. All right. Any questions before I move on to some of the changes in the CPA exam?
I do have a question.
Yes.
How does the CPA, how does it, I guess, affect when you, how do you cross state lines?
What do you mean by crossing the state line? Like if you're transferring your scores over or your license?
Yeah, like let's say, for example, so we're in California. Let's say I get licensed, in California. Would this work in Washington, for example? Would it still be active, or would I have to apply to like a different ethics exam or redo it?
So you might want to check, like say Washington, right? Depending on the state, you might want to check that state's requirement to sit and to get licensed. So it depends on how far you've gone into the process, right? So if you're still taking the exams and transferring your score, you might need to hit that, say Washington's requirement to sit in order to continue it on, or if you have passed all 4 and you have license and you want to transfer your score over, you might want to check on that process as well too. I would say depending on the state, some require you maybe to take the ethics exam. But I think the easier part of it is not going through like when you take 2 parts of the exam, but if you have gotten your license and you're further in, you could just transfer your license over. Just because you have some working experience under your belt and everything like that, it might be a little bit easier than just transferring your exam scores.
Answers my question. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions before I move on? Alrighty. So I'm sure that you guys have heard of the CPA exam. There's a lot of changes there, right? Every year there's always some sort of changes, to the exams, whether what they're testing on, and then every so often they'll have like a bigger change. So starting 2024, so in a little bit over 2 years from now, they are actually planning to change the CPA exam, but not too much where you guys are, we'll definitely make sure that you guys are prepared for it as well too. So they're slowly coming up with the changes. They haven't really told us, the blueprint or a lot of the, what's being changed on there. The only thing that we've learned is that it's still going to be 4 sections long. So you know how right now it's financial, audit, regulation, BEC, but right now, starting 2024, they're going to be testing you on accounting, which is kind of like FAR, auditing, tax, which is regulations. And then instead of having BEC, business, they're adding on technology in there because technology is up and coming nowadays. They definitely want to make sure that when you go out into the work field, you guys know what you're doing. So they want to test you on your skill level on that, especially in technology. So technology is its own section, but not only if that is its own section, but they're incorporating technology into the testing and accounting, a little bit into auditing, and a little bit in tax. And then when you're doing technology in its own section, you get to choose between three different sections in that. So you could choose between tax compliance and planning, or business reporting and analysis, or information systems and controls. I know that this is their timeline in here, but I think they're falling a little bit behind. So this is as far as we kind of know now, but if you guys want to keep your eyes on it and kind of know more information, you guys can go on evolutionofcpa.org on there to find out more information. But once we find out more information, we'll definitely keep you guys up to date, and we'll definitely update our courses, month before the whole change, to make sure that you guys are prepared for it. So a little bit about Becker. We're the leaders in CPA prep for over 60 years. We have over 1 million candidates that prepared and passed with Becker. We're partnered up with all the top 100 accounting firms. And not only that, we're partnered up with over 2,900 accounting firms, corporations, alliances, government agencies, and universities, such as CSUN. We're heavily partnered up with CSUN. So a lot of times, they incorporate Becker into your curriculum, your classes as well too. But the reason why I bring this up is because that we're partnering with a lot of the firms. So a lot of times when you get hired at the firms, they pay for you they highly encourage you guys to take the CPA exam. They pay for your exams, your application. And a lot of times they pay for you to use Becker, right? So to study with Becker. So hopefully, you guys all get into a firm that pays for your Becker review course, so that with you guys can save some, several $1,000s of money to study for it. But if not, then if your firm doesn't pay for it, then definitely reach out to me. If you guys have to pay for it on your own, I'll try to find you a discount. Maybe the firm has a partnership with us that has a discount, or I'll find you, a discount as well too. So definitely reach out to me before you start studying, and I'll, guide you through the whole path. You guys have any questions on that? And on top of that, so a little bit about Becker, some great things that I want to point out is that we actually have personalized learning. So we incorporate AI into our platform. So I don't know if you guys have heard of Santa Labs, but I'm sure you guys have heard of Spotify, right? So you guys use Spotify. You know how Spotify keeps track of the music that you listen to and gives you recommendations? That's because they use Santa Labs as their AI technology to identify what you like to listen to and give you recommendations. So we use Santa Labs as well too, but to track your proficiency level. So, so we track your proficiency levels depending on how well you do in each subject, unit, topic. And the more that you go through our personalized review sessions and do more of the questions, it increases your proficiency level, and you can actually increase it by doing more, different personalized review sessions. So it shows you the before and after you complete those questions and see where you guys are at those, topics, right? So if you guys get like a 2.5 stars, 3 stars, you guys are pretty much experts and good to go. So that way you guys don't have to waste time and doing those questions over and over again. And you can just target the certain topics that you guys start struggling at and be better at, right? So it kind of optimize your study time as well too. So which is something that I really like. The next part is the skill master video. So for me, if I don't know how to do something, I like to YouTube, like how to do this, how to do that, step-by-step videos. So our skill master videos are basically step-by-step videos that coach you through each task-based simulation. So for each task-based simulations that we have a skill master video. So our national instructors is basically bring you through the questions, telling you what is looking for, what is asking, how to find the answer the quickest way possible, and how to find the correct answer. So instead of telling you, hey, your answer is right or your answer is wrong, instead of just doing that, but we'll run you through the problem as well. And not only do we have skill master videos, but we have an academic support team. In our academic support team, we have a lot of instructors and who are professors, and we have a whole team to answer your questions. So if you're stuck on a problem and you don't know how to do it, you can actually reach out to our academic support team, where you put in, which question you're stuck at and your question, and they'll answer your questions, not like in real time right away, but then we'll answer within like 24 hours or so. And we get like thousands of questions within each quarter or each month. We have like over like 10,000 questions every like 3 months or so, every quarter. So they actually go through a lot of the questions and help you through it. I've asked them, hey, what's the longest answer you've provided to the students? So one person was like, I wrote like 5 pages, so to help them answer the questions. So they really are definitely here to help you out throughout the whole problems. All right. And like I mentioned with the simulated exam, we have 3 full-length simulated exam per section. So in a strict exam like section. So when you guys are going through that, you guys make sure you put your phone away, try to mimic the actual, you taking the CPA exam, see how well you do, and practice sitting there for 4 hours, going through all the questions to see how well you do. 2 of them are weighted according to the exam, and 1 of them is comprehensive. So it helps you identify areas of opportunity. So where you can strengthen your areas of opportunity at, and then go back and study those as well. All right. Any questions regarding CPA? If you guys have any questions, you guys want to try us out, you guys can go on becker.com/CPA demo. But that's all I have for CPA. But I do want to mention one last thing. I take 2 minutes. If you guys are interested in taking the CMA, I think it's up and coming. A lot of students are interested in taking the CMA just because you don't need a bachelor's degree or hitting certain requirements in order to take the CMA exam, but you just need your bachelor's degree and certain requirements to get licensed. And the difference between the CPA and CMA is that CMA is a global benchmark for management accountants and financial professionals. So it's kind of recognized more so like internationally, and it focuses on more practical applications in finance, strategical thinking, leadership, planning, budgeting, forecasting. So a lot of professionals would think that, CPA, get your foot in the door, right? But the CMA exam takes your skills, to be successful in the industry or in your career as well, too. So a lot of times you see professionals with 2 different of those credentials because it makes them a little bit more, better looking on the resume as well, too. So in order to get licensed, you just need to complete the 2 exams instead of 4 exams in the CPA. You need a bachelor's degree, 2 years of relevant working experience, and being an active member in IMA. But you don't need this in order to take the exam. So you just need to get it afterwards. The topic's a little bit different. So a lot on financial planning, budgeting, forecasting, cost management, and a lot on finance actually too. So if you guys are interested, definitely let me know. I can run you through what it needs to be to take the CMA and to be licensed as well too. So does anyone have any questions? I know there's a lot of information so far, and hopefully you guys aren't overwhelmed, especially after taking the midterms. But you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email is ala@becker.com. This is my Linktree account. So it'll link you to my calendar, resources, and discounts as well too. So hopefully, I will look forward to staying in contact with you guys, and definitely don't hesitate to reach out if you guys have any questions. Hopefully I didn't scare you guys away, right? You guys are still taking the exam. Good. But yeah, it's a lot of information, but definitely let me know if I can break anything down for you guys.
I have a question regarding the
Yes.
CMA.
Mhm.
So is it easily transferable licensure when you want to, let's just say I want to go to Germany to work for an accounting firm? Is the CMA license easily transferable to Germany, or do I need to apply for additional unit requirements or anything like that?
I don't think, for CMA, I don't think it's transferable, but it's just more recognized, right? So it's not like if you get licensed for CMA in the US, then it's different than the CMA license in Germany. I think it's the same exact one, but just whether, it's recognized or whatnot. Same for CPA, CPA is mostly you could take it in different countries as well too, but it's just one CPA exam and one CPA license, and you could take that with you anywhere. It just follows your record, your name on there.
I see. And
Yeah.
my second question would be for the CPA licensure, if I remember correctly, it expires, right? But in order to make sure it does expire, you have to take continuing professional units.
Mm-hmm, exactly. So we do. So I believe every 2 years or every 3 or 4 years, you have to take CPE courses, so which is continuing education. So you have to take certain amount of hours to fulfill those and keep your license active. So they just want to make sure that you're keeping up with all the changes and regulations and everything. So most of the time, we do sell CPE courses as well too, but most of the time after you get your CPA license, a lot of times if you're still working at the firms, they do pay for training and your CPE courses or whatnot. It's not that you have to take tests. It's just like, certain hours that you have to fill, right? So you're reading or watching lectures or attending live events to get those credits and those hours on there. I mean, if you're doing like, say, on-demand lectures, you're watching through like, say, 50 minutes of the lectures, and then it'll ask you like several questions just to make sure you're paying attention and how to, just to make sure that you're watching as well too. So it's not like, you have to sit down to take a full exam. So, which is great, the CPA exam, you just have to pass all 4 parts and then you're kind of done and over with, and just keep up with it.
Gotcha. And is there like a minimum CPA requirements for make sure? Yeah.
Yes, I believe the minimum you have to hit 80 hours within, I think, 2 or 4 years. I don't recall, maybe like 2 years, every 2 years on your birthday. So it renews. You have to hit 80 hours, and you can't do all 80 hours within 1 year time frame. You have to break it up into like 40 and 40 or 20 and 60 or something like that. It kind of slipped my mind, but I can double check on that for you, Dixon.
All right, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And everyone, Dixon is actually one of my Canvas masters too. So not to put you on the spot, but if you guys ever have any questions or you want to reach out to me, you guys can always reach out to Dixon as well too. And I will refer over back to the CPE question back to you, answers for you. So if you guys want to reach out to him to find out the answer, I can let you guys know.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
And I'm opening to the floor to anyone who has any questions. You guys have any questions?
Any other questions? But yeah, probably you guys are all trying to wrap your head around everything. So I will let you guys go, but don't hesitate to reach out later on if there's any questions later on. I'm sure there will be more so later, especially when you guys are about to graduate as well too.
Before you go, we want to take a picture with everyone.
Sure, yeah.
If everyone can turn on their cameras, and I'll count to 3. I'll just wait a few seconds.
Good to see all your faces now.
1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Well, hopefully I'll get to see you guys in the spring semester.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Amy, for presenting your presentation with Becker. I'm sure that everyone will be taking the Becker exam or Becker preparation exam instead of your competitors. And one last announcement would be, next Monday, of course, we'll be having a presentation with Baker Tilly, and make sure that you guys will be there. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Hope you have a wonderful week.
Thank you so much for
Bye.
coming.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.